And we are live from Boston, Massachusetts. Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. We are here in Boston, the city of champions and the home of fitness. I'm your co-host, Connor Murphy with Reebok CrossFit One, and I'm here with Darina Dunn from CrossFit's Filthy 150, and we're here to bring you 20.5 live. Darina, what do we have in store for tonight?
Well, Connor, we have one hell of a show. We've got Reebok athletes Pat Fellner, Annie Thursdottir, but most importantly, we have the workout that is going to close out the open season. We have 20.5.
Now, Darina, I know you've been in Boston for a few days now. You've got to experience some pretty cool things. One, the Reebok World Headquarters where we are right now, also the box tour. Tell us a little bit about your stay here and how it's been.
It's been so awesome being Irish. I was really excited about coming to Boston to meet all my brethren. And it was so much fun. We went out to the boxes. People welcomed us with open arms. I had heard how cool Boston people are, but you've exceeded my expectations. You are awesome. I was really happy when I went out to the boxes. Everyone was really friendly and really nice to me. I'm assuming that's because they were happy to meet me, but it may have something to do with the fact that I was bringing out tickets to tonight's show. But either way, thank you, Boston. You've been great.
Well, as we say in CrossFit, the magic is in the movement, the art is in the programming, the science is in the explanation, but the fun is in the community. We have that and your workout announcement to come soon. But before that, we're going to toss it over to Arm & Hammer and Justin LaFranco, and they're going to give us a little bit more details.
What's going on, folks? Arm & Hammer here. That is Justin LaFranco with the Morning Chalk Up. And we are here at the Reebok World Headquarters, Reebok CrossFit One. We're going to be talking about 20.5, an amazing head-to-head matchup with Patrick Vellner going up against Annie Thursdottir. It's going to be a great night.
Absolutely. Like, this is the exact kind of way that you want to end the CrossFit Open. You're here at Reebok HQ. You're here at Reebok CrossFit One with 2 marquee athletes, Patrick Vellner, Annie Thursdottir. Like, there's no better matchup that you could hope to have, for the end of this 5-week competition.
But before we can get to the show that everybody is here to watch, we have to talk about the Open that has been so far, because this is the second Open in this calendar year. It is the second Open that has a direct qualifier to the CrossFit Games, and that has changed a lot of things for a lot of competitors.
Right. So, just to recap a little bit of what the new system looks like. So you can qualify through the CrossFit Games, through the CrossFit Open, 2 separate ways. You can do it as national champion, and then you can also win, you can earn a spot as top 20 worldwide. And so really what we're seeing now is that after 4 weeks of scores, the leaderboard is tightening up, and the line has now kind of settled a little bit. For the men's side, it's 27th place, and for the women's side, it's 34th place. That means that any athlete who is placing 34th or 27th and better is in a qualifying spot for their through the Worldwide Open. And so there's a couple of things you got to keep in mind for week 5. Number one is, who's in that qualifying position right now, and then who needs to do really well this week. And there's 2 athletes I've got my eye on. Number one is Amanda Barnhart, who is currently placed 27th in the world. She's 7 spots inside of a qualifying position. She needs to show up this week, do really well, and just continue the trend that she's had over the last 4 weeks. The other athlete on the outside looking in is Haley Adams, top 10 games athlete from last year. She's 3 spots outside of a qualifying position. She needs to come in here and really attack 20.5. If she does, then she could easily find her way into the top 20 and be in a qualifying position for the 2020 games.
And on the other side of the coin are athletes that are actually kind of outperforming or surprising us with how well they're doing. And 2 athletes come to mind. One is Emma McQuaid, Irish national champion, rookie at the 2019 CrossFit Games, took 21st, has been competing forever and always knocking on the door of making it to the games through regionals, finally made it last year and really crushed it at the games. Absolutely impressive performance. Right now, 3rd place overall worldwide, including a phenomenal event win with 20.1. Out of the blue, just crushed the first workout of the 2020 Open. And following that up, I think it's really important that we don't forget the mama she-bear herself, Cara Saunders. Cara Saunders this past season had to step out because she was pregnant, had a wonderful birth, right? She now has a very healthy baby girl. Yep. And this season, she's back with a vengeance. She's well within a qualifying spot with 1 workout to go. and it's just looking really solid for her.
Yeah,
season.
17th place worldwide right now. She's in a perfect position going into the final workout. We talked to her last week, and she wasn't so sure. She recognized she was doing really good in the open so far, but was kind of unsure about some of the later workouts and some of the higher volume gymnastics that she had been practicing in postpartum. And 5 months outside of having a baby, and she's in this position. This is just a testament to just how good of an athlete she is. How strong her comeback has been is so beyond impressive. I'm really excited to see her back for the 2020 games. I hope she gets into this qualifying position and holds it. And then she has a number of months to really rev up and get her competition legs out from under her.
And on the men's side, there are a few athletes that are definitely worth mentioning here with the same sort of tone, right? Athletes that are surprising us with their performances. And I think at the top of that list, we have to talk about Jeffrey Adler. He's an athlete that you should not feel worried about if you don't know exactly who he is, because this season, he is making a statement. And everyone will know who he is after this is over, specifically because of his performance on 20.4, if nothing else.
Right. Well, I mean, he's currently placed third overall, which in and of itself is extremely impressive. But let's take into account his performance in 20.4. He beat the reigning fittest man on earth, who placed second in that workout worldwide by 1 minute and 41 seconds. And let's not forget that Matthew Frazier is an extremely accomplished weightlifter. He knows exactly how to move a barbell, and he's not scared of a heavy barbell at all. And for somebody to step up and do 1 minute and 41 better than the reigning fittest man on earth is unbelievable. He deserves a lot of props for that. I watched his video. His reps looked extremely good. And I'm fairly confident that his score is going to hold up to scrutiny. And you just got to give a guy like that props. He came out there and he absolutely wiped the floor.
Absolutely. And another athlete that we are really excited about on the men's side is Chandler Smith. Now, Chandler Smith has been a fan favorite ever since he debuted at regionals, and he's been an athlete that everyone knew was going to make it to the CrossFit Games. Even he knew he was going to make it to the CrossFit Games using the sort of hashtag Games 2022. Now, he made it to the games a few years early, and he qualified through the Rogue Invitational, beating out plenty of very talented, competitive CrossFitters. However, this year, to go from qualifying out of a sanctional to having his best ever open performance and being in a position to actually qualify through the open, that is a huge jump in performance.
Yeah, he's currently sitting 26th position right now worldwide. And so, he's also another athlete that's he has to completely send it on the final workout in order to retain that position. But, he's one of those classic athletes that was just right there on the cusp, in the regional environment, and just wasn't quite there, able to break into that top 5 position to earn a spot through the regional system. But once he qualified, he's now kind of turned a corner. And sometimes athletes, it takes a little bit of them playing, up in that level, and then all of a sudden their training takes a new sort of turn, and they're really turning it on. So I think we're seeing Chandler Smith here actually coming into his own and really maturing as an athlete. And it's clear because his performance right now is showing it. He really performed great last year. Loved his performance and how he attacked Rogue. So all the best to him. I really hope that he ends up earning a spot here, and then he can go have some fun during the sanctioned season.
It would also be very important for us to mention that this is the first time since 2016 Open that Matt Fraser has not won or been in the lead at this point of a competition in the CrossFit Games era. It's unheard of at this point that he is currently in second place, and there is one workout left, and we don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, we don't really know what's happened. But, it's clear the Open really isn't his primary focus. In fact, in previous years, he was a little bit upset that he won the Open because he was not trying to peak too early. He was trying to really kind of come into the regionals peaking in that environment and then prepare for the CrossFit Games. But he's just that fit where he just accidentally sort of wins the Open, and now he's kind of accidentally been second place in the Open, currently the USA national champion. But yeah, it's kind of crazy that we're here at this stage of the game, and you have to reach all the way back to the 2016 CrossFit Open to find a competition that Matt Fraser hasn't won.
Yeah, I'm sure that this last week is going to bring something that's going to just shake up the leaderboard as every week has. But let's go ahead and pivot a second here and take a look at Annie and Pat, because that is what we are here for at Reebok CrossFit One. We have the second place worldwide female in the CrossFit Games Open in Annie Thorsdatter, 2-time Games champion. We have the fourth place male CrossFit Games Open on the leaderboard in Patrick Vellner, multi-time podium. I think that this is going to be a really interesting show, particularly because there's nothing on the line between these two athletes. They can just go ham, go wild, and show us what's up.
Yeah, I mean, look, like Annie's having an amazing Open so far. She's actually my pick for who I think is going to win the matchup tonight. And she won. She's second worldwide. She won 20.3. She's performing amazing right now. I love her consistency and how well she's been attacking each week. She's keeping her performance. She has an average place of 7th right now across the last 4 weeks, which is an unbelievable performance for her. So she's my pick for tonight. I love what she's been doing in the Open so far. I also want to give her a shout out for releasing all of her Open videos every single week. She's doing the first take with, usually it's her and Sarah Sigmundsdottir doing their first take on the workout. I love that she's been transparent about that, opening up, encouraging more athletes to do that. She's withstanding the criticisms of some, keyboard warriors coming in and trying to call no reps on this and that, but much kudos to her for doing that. I think it's been really great for the sport and to grow and to be ambassador of that.
Those videos have been outstanding to watch, but I'm going to be your foil here. I'm going to say Patrick Vellner is the man to beat tonight. He's going to take this head-to-head matchup, and I'm going to say that with a lot of confidence because he's here somewhere. I need him to know.
think he is, yeah.
The fact of the matter is, though, that the Open excludes movements and then brings movements back in. And we've seen 4 weeks of the CrossFit Games Open, and there are some things that are missing from those workouts. And I think that's the exact reason why someone like Pat Vellner is going to be able to beat Annie Thorisdottir.
Yeah, I know what you're alluding to. You're talking about the high-volume pulling movements like chest-to-bar pull-ups, bar muscle-ups, ring muscle-ups. Just to go through a quick little rundown here of some of the movements that we've seen in a majority of the CrossFit Opens that have yet to be programmed this year. We've got chest-to-bar pull-ups, bar muscle-ups, ring muscle-ups, wall balls, rowing for calories, overhead squats, and I'm kind of throwing in barbell thrusters in there, just as a little bit of a twist. Since it technically hasn't been programmed, I'm not, just saying maybe there's a chance.
Yeah, there's always a chance. We've seen in the 2016 Open, there was a repeat. There were burpees in the first week and burpees in the final week. So it would not be out of the blue if we saw thrusters again show up in the 2020 Open. However, with the lack of any upper body pulling and the lack of any sort of rowing showing up in these workouts, those are two things that someone like Patrick is going to excel at. And it's going to be, in my opinion, the tipping point.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
The Open is the start of the season, and it is a long, long season with 28 sanctional events taking place between November and July. We're going to have a huge international season, 6 continents. Antarctica, you're missing out. Come on, get on the boat. But we have a huge, huge season kicking off with Filthy 150.
Yeah, so in 2 weeks, both you and I are actually going to be there. We're going to be out in Dublin, Ireland for the kickoff of sanctional of the season. And this is just kind of, this new expansive sanctionals environment. And so after that, we're going down to Argentina and China for Pandaland and Southfit CrossFit Championship. There's actually a double header that weekend, 2 competitions going on simultaneously. And then we finish out 2019 with the Dubai CrossFit Championship in the Middle East.
So with 4 huge competitions right around the corner, 2 weeks away, the Filthy 150 kicks off the sanctional season. Tonight, 20.5 gets announced with Annie Thorisdottir versus Patrick Vellner. I can feel the energy in this room already hitting like a tipping point. We're going to go ahead and kick it over to our friends Chase Ingram, Brent Fikowski, and Austin Malleolo.
Welcome back to Live 20.5. We are underneath Reebok HQ. We are inside Reebok CrossFit One and outside the Boston Harbor, where a tea party becomes a fitness party. Welcome, everyone. I'm Chase Ingham. Alongside with me, Brent Fikowski, Austin Malleolo. Now, Brent, I want to put everybody at ease. You are actually not just here as kind of a plan B for your season. You are actually competing and doing pretty well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, there's no crazy announcement. I'm not retiring or anything like that. I'm excited to do this workout tomorrow. I'm excited about the sanctional season. I've got a few things planned for that. I'm excited here to cheer on Pat Vellner and Annie Thorisdottir and watch them throw down. And if they make any mistakes, I'm going to learn from them.
Now, this table got a lot fitter and a lot better looking, if I say so myself. And just to this left, Austin Malleolo, You know, Father Time has yet to defeat you because you actually improved on a very impressive 18.4.
Yeah, it's I was happy when deadlifts and handstand push-ups came out of the old the hopper there, so it didn't disappoint. So it was you know, when you have something in your warehouse, you take it. But really excited to have the open announcement here at the Reebok HQ at Reebok CrossFit One. It's been a while, and it's nice to bring people into our relatively new home.
Now, we got a lot of fans piling in, and we have two amazing athletes going head-to-head tonight. Annie Thorisdottir versus Pat Fellner. We also have the Filthy 150 in the house. The very first sanctioned event of the season is coming up in November, and they took a tour with Reebok over with our local affiliates. Welcome back. We are with a very special guest, the Senior Product Manager for Training Footwear, Tal Short. Tal, that's a lot of words, but let's put that into a little bit more description of what exactly you do for Reebok.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's like a dream job for me. I get to really write the initial brief for the Nano, and then I kind of see it all the way through and hand it off. It's almost like, seeing a whole child. Like, you see the birth, and you after 18 months, you hand it off to the markets and let them go sell the shoe.
Oh, I think these are kind of your babies out here. We had a whole family reunion from Nanos 1 to 9, and the 9's just been released. It's been a lot of anticipation. I think it's a fantastic shoe. I got it on. I don't know. I'm sitting up because I have shoes on my feet. But tell us how the response has been for you and Reebok with the Nano 9.
Yeah, I mean, the 9's been a tremendous success for us. I actually just got the latest results in, and after the first 4 months, the Nano 9's the best-selling Nano we've ever had. And it's just a testament to this community. We're just so happy. Selling the pairs is cool, but I think the thing we're most proud of is, we send out a survey on Reebok.com. After we get to a certain amount of pairs sold, we send out a survey and say, are you satisfied with the product? And the Nano 9 numbers came back as the highest rated shoe of all time. And I'm not just talking about Nano, I'm talking about of all time. And it wasn't close. So we actually made them run the report twice because we didn't kind of believe the first results. So yeah, it's been a tremendous success.
Well, I mean, as the shoe evolved, it's kind of evolved with CrossFit itself. It's been nearly a decade, 9 iterations to date. How has the goal changed moving in as you get from 1 to 9?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, as the leaders in CrossFit, we've got to evolve with the sport. I mean, one thing that you can see, now there's more running in CrossFit, where back in the day, we weren't so focused on, how does the Nano run? These days, it's one of the top 2 priorities, right? And so we've got to evolve with the sport. And luckily, we have a wonderful place here at Reebok CrossFit One to really test the shoes out and really get that dialed in.
In terms of testing, it's like Reebok HQ is just upstairs. You got this amazing gym. We got all these employees that can actually do it. And you said it evolves with the feedback that you get. Yeah. In terms of that feedback, what little behind the scenes can you kind of reveal as how it ended up being the Nano 9 is the way it is today?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears went into the Nano 9. We made some super late changes, but they were right changes. One of them was adding the vector back on. So it was a late change, but just a tremendous change, and the community's really absorbed that. Yeah, they love it.
And I think if people know their Nanos well in terms of the progression from 1 to 8, those odd numbers have been kind of a crux for you guys.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. So when I talked about writing the initial brief for the 9, the top of the whiteboard, the first thing I wrote was reverse the curse. We are very well in tune knowing that the odd number Nanos have not been the most popular with the community. So we wanted to break that curse, and I feel confident we have.
I feel like you guys smashed through that curse. So we have 1 through 9. If I'm doing the math on the table, I feel like we're always looking for the next best thing. 9's been fantastic, but do we have something in store for 10?
Well, yeah, now you're trying to get me in trouble. I see what's going on here. No, I love my job too much to give out too much info, but I can announce that, there will be a next Nano, and it will be called the Nano X. So we really want to celebrate the 10th anniversary. Not a lot of franchises, especially in this high performance category, get to the 10th franchise. So we're going to celebrate it. It might or might not be under here. So I'm going to have to take this with me. But
Well, that is great information coming up. A lot of expectations coming for what it is. The Nano X will be the next iteration, although we will enjoy the 9 as we have it in front of us. And in terms of the Nano itself, it's not just for the elite athlete. The Nano is a Nano for all.
Some days are tougher than others. But we see in each other what no one else can. We sweat together. We endure together. Every one of us, redefining ourselves. We achieve together. All of us.
Welcome back, everyone. Chase Ingham, Brent Fikowski, Austin Malolo, back on the desk. I'd like to say a big thank you to Tal Short for giving us some insight on the Nano itself. And we had some pre-show. We had Armin and Justin talking about the season, how it's shaping up, how the Open's been so far through 4 events. One thing we got to talk about a little earlier before today started was kind of a new trend we've been seeing with all the competitive athletes this year, and that's transparency in the Open. People are posting more and more videos of that. And Brent, I'll defer to you because you were one of, I would say, pioneers of this. I know I used to watch a lot what you used to do. We used to be similar. You've gotten a lot stronger since then, and I've gotten a lot older. But you were one of those guys that kind of started this trend of being more public throughout the Open.
Oh, thank you. So I started my first Open in 2013. And when I did that, there were very few videos being shown of the athletes with their scores, especially the high-level athletes. And I kind of wanted to do something different and put my scores out there and say, hey, I'm here to party. And I didn't get great scores, but I got some good scores. And I did that in 2013, 14, 15, qualified for regionals. And going into 2016, I was going to do it again. And my friend said, you don't really have anything left to prove, but there's potentially something to lose. You're putting it out there for some scrutiny, so why don't you just hold it close to the chest like everyone else does? Now, this year, we're seeing a lot of athletes posting their videos. Annie Thorsdottir sort of started doing it, her first attempt, and I asked her, why did you do that? She said, well, it scared me. Oh. And I wanted to try it. And so Sarah's been joining her, and then you have other athletes, Noah Olsen, Amanda Barnhart, even Lefteris. He's #1 in the world right now. He's posted every video online, and I think it's great to see.
Yeah, I think it's great to see because it lowers a little bit of the stress level and it becomes fun. And when people get to watch what the athletes are doing, kind of pull back the veil a little bit, it humanizes them. And it's important for people to see what you're doing. It doesn't have to be super secretive. So I agree. I love it.
And to that point, it's like I do enjoy kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit, unveiling, we don't have to be at odds and like, did they really do it or how they did. Right. Now, when you get a bit more public, you become more in the public eye. The court of public opinion starts to come in. And I feel like that's going to demand a lot more quality and quality control for a lot of these athletes.
Yeah, I think, unfortunately, we've seen some athletes get penalized a little bit, and that's that one end of the spectrum. But I think it has highlighted the importance of quality of movement and moving well, not only from a range of motion perspective, but also your quality of movement allows you to move faster, move more weight, and in turn, be more efficient. And I, from the top of the athletes down and then from the bottom up, I think it's an important message. And it really is something that we see for our best athletes in the world. Like, Brent's a good example. He moves so well. And that's really what has allowed him to, to be so successful. And hopefully people can start to understand that and bring that to the affiliate level, even when intensity is a topic. Well, yeah, in order to have intensity appropriated, you need to move well. It's a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, and I mean, as an athlete competing, I want it to be a level playing field, right? I want us all to be competing on the same playing field, and I never want to see a regression in the standard of movement in what's expected of us. I want to know this is what we're expecting. We're holding to that standard. So progression in that way, getting more and more strict, totally fine. Consistency, also fine. It's regression that can be frustrating as an athlete. Yeah. So, but I do like where it's heading.
No one got worse by moving a little bit better. And, we have 2 fantastic athletes that are about to make the most public appearance you could possibly do here at Reebok CrossFit One with 20.5. We've had 4 events go. There's only a few things that really are left on the table per of what we've had. Yeah. Brent, I'll start with you. Is do's and don'ts. Give me 1 and 1, what you do and don't want to see.
I'd be all right with wall balls. I'd be okay with that. And
oh, really? Why is that?
I don't know. It's used to play volleyball. Let's say that. And I'm not going to put out what I don't want because then it'll come up.
Yeah. They're going to tempt fate a little bit. Yeah. Austin, how about you?
Well, since I didn't play volleyball, I don't want to see wall balls come out of the hopper. But so again, we'll make do with what comes out. I mean, that's the beauty of the Open.
And it's coming up very quickly, less than 5 minutes, and we will finally know what the last event of the 2020 CrossFit Games Open is going to be. As the Open comes to a close with 20.5, the sanctional season is coming up very quickly and is going to start with the Filthy 150 as the very first sanctioned event over in Ireland on November 22nd and 24th. For more of the Filthy 50, we'll go down to Connor Murphy.
And thank you, Chase. And welcome back to the floor. For those of you just joining us in the live stream, you are here at the Reebok World Headquarters in Boston, Massachusetts. My name is Connor Murphy, and I'm here with Darina. Now, Darina represents the CrossFit Filthy 150 competition, which is the first sanctional event, your first chance to qualify for the CrossFit Games outside of the Open. We've heard all about it, but what I really want to hear is, what are you most proud of, and what are you most looking forward to with this competition?
Can I say everything? I suppose people are going to expect me to say all the elite level games athletes we've attending, like Sam Briggs and Christian Holte. Maybe that Dan Bailey's making his comeback on the Filthy floor, which is absolutely awesome. But
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to Dan Bailey being back out there.
Me too.
Am I right?
Woohoo! But to be honest, the thing I'm proudest of is that I can stand here and say that every single CrossFit box in Ireland will be represented on the Filthy floor. It will be the entire Irish CrossFit community getting ready to welcome the world. It's going to be absolutely awesome. Thank you. We've got, like, us Irish know how to welcome people. We're famous for it. But can you imagine thousands of us screaming our lungs out for the best in our sport? It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait.
I can only imagine what the after party is going to look like at that one.
Well, our venue does have pubs on site. So yeah, we're going to party hard.
I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit of that after the event. Speaking of the event, are you guys ready to meet your athletes for tonight? Your first athlete, a multi-year CrossFit Games podium finisher, hailing from a land up north. You know, it's a winter wasteland. Who really knows where it is? Said to have the best hair in CrossFit, and although he has not finished first place at the CrossFit Games, he is definitely the best at crashing his bicycle during CrossFit Games events. Everyone welcome Pat Vellner.
I'm 2 for 2 on the mic.
I hope that was okay for you, Pat. Now, our second competitor needs no introduction. I will introduce her. The same statistics that I said for Pat can be said for this next one, but she has finished on top of the podium not once but twice. Please welcome the 2011 and 2012 fittest woman on earth, Annie Thorisdottir. I'll have you stand over there with Darina. Pat, tell us one movement that you would like to see tonight.
I'd love to see ring muscle ups come back. It's been a couple years. I think it's time.
Coming from a former gymnast, that's probably a good call. Annie.
I would like to see chest to bar pull-ups.
Chest to bar pull-ups. Well, wait no further. The stage is set. The athletes are here. Darina, let's hear what the workout is.
So, 20.5 is, for time, we've got 40 ring muscle-ups, we've got 80 calorie row, and we've 120 wall ball shots. Hold on a second. Partitioned any way you like. So guys, let the games begin.
You guys have 10
Gosh.
minutes.
Okay. Let me collect myself for a second.
That's interesting. Yeah.
First, let me lead off with I take exception to the best hair in CrossFit because there's one thing I'm good at and the only thing I'm good at. It's the hair game. But Dave said it. There you have it. Guys, first reaction right off the bat. Brent, 40 muscle-ups?
Yeah, well, when they announced the workout the way they did, I was thinking that's kind of the opposite order I would have expected, right? I would have thought the wall ball, you kind of recover on the row with your arms and then get into the muscle-ups, and for the elites, they'll get into those muscle-ups. But now, partitioning it any way you want, it's interesting. It's the first time they've done something like that. I think ever at any event.
Yes.
Other than moving the sandbags across the stadium at the games, that's the only other thing you could possibly compare it to.
Yeah.
But you can do that any way you wanted. Other than that, it's different. It's very different.
Yeah, the first thing that comes to mind is, you have, the Murph is a workout where it was, you have to run, but then you had 100, 200, 300, break it up as needed. And so my mind first starts to go to, okay, much higher skill with that muscle up, and then we have some grunt work and some movement. But, you have a traditional line of thought, you have, hey, big chunks, it's going to be really interesting to see athletes' strengths and weaknesses. It's there's a lot of things you have to process.
Yeah, that won't be hard to follow at all this afternoon
Man.
for as that call goes on. But I mean, let's dive into this a little bit. 40 ring muscle ups. Patty asked for them, you got them, and you got them in a big way. It's not the most muscle ups we've seen in a single CrossFit event per se. We've had it up to 45. I believe it's the most we've ever had in one games. We had it at Amanda 45, and then I believe it was the muscle up biathlon.
That's correct.
Yep.
And but 40 for a open event is far and away the most we've had.
Yeah. My mind, first goes to, there are so many ways to, you have our two showcasing in a few minutes, but then you have your affiliate level as well, where it's like, I'm going to start on the row. Like the amount of work you can get done and then come to a screeching halt if you want. It's really exciting there. But, I think I'm excited to see the math that Brent's going to do in a moment of like, all right, well, what is the most efficient way? I start to think movement function. You have a pull, you have a push, you have a pull. There's a lot of things that come into play when, what is the rep scheme that's optimal? We've done Murph a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done 5, 10, 15, 10, 20, 30, but no one's done this workout. There's no data. We're about to start to see the first data set right now.
Well, and to this, for you yourself, is like, Brent, you are so meticulous in the way you approach workouts like this. Now, this being more of a choose your own adventure of sorts, this is going to be extremely difficult for these athletes to navigate in this amount of time to prepare for an event like this.
Yeah, I'd done one open announcement, and the time you have to prepare goes by very quickly. And so for something like this, basically for any athlete, I think the first thing you look at in any workout is what's the limiter, right? You look at something, are you limited by a specific movement? Maybe it's a weight, maybe it's a skill. And you look at that first, regardless of the workout, and then it's sort of, if you can overcome that, usually the fittest athletes win. Yeah. And once you find a way to overcome that, then you work out the other pieces. So the obvious thing here for the best athletes and also the beginning athletes is those muscle ups. So if you have them, I think you need to start on them while you're fresh. It wouldn't surprise me if these athletes start with a large unbroken set. So they're going to start with anywhere between 10 to 25 on the rings, bust them out smooth, blow out the arms a bit, get the lungs up, probably quickly go into the row right away, start the damper, get it going, get the flywheel going, get a couple calories done, recover, and then it starts getting interesting. I don't really know what to do from there. You might honestly, you might get back onto the rings and someone like Vellner, who can do 28 unbroken ring muscle-ups in a row, he could bust up, 25, get on the rower, do 20, 30 calories at a moderate pace. He might be able to get up and do another 15, and all of a sudden his muscle-ups are done. Then all he has to do is row, wall ball. It's basically 18-1.
Yeah, it's
I'm sweating so much right now. I'm just gonna throw that out there. It's just seeing this unfold, and this is great to talk. I mean, we can talk about this all night until they start to get into it, but it's the volume of muscle ups, the row and the wall balls. I mean, that certainly plays to a very specific skill set for and a very specific athlete. But when you throw the difficulty of the ring muscle ups in, there is some balance there.
Yeah, I definitely, oftentimes the taller, bigger athletes are pretty happy about, the rowing and the wall ball. The muscle up, kind of throws a little wrench in that. But I think at the top, that's not going to matter, quite honestly. I think that, with our two athletes going now, the muscle up will be, manageable, but not that big of a separator. What I'm more interested in is the transition time where, if you break this, say, into 5 or 6 rounds, which might be from an actual, output perspective, the smartest, right? I can move the quickest, break nothing up. But unfortunately, as we've seen in the open, transition times matter so much. And that's something where, like you said, the big set matters, but what is going to be my pace on the row? I mean, at what calorie number does your output drop down? Do we see diminishing returns? So that's, I think, the transition time at the, for our two athletes about to go could be the determining factor depending on the strategy they pick.
And what I like about that, exactly is to your point, is to the strategy. Strategy has a massive implication in this event because, I mean, fitness level is one thing, but, transition times, do the weaker gymnastic athletes do more rounds and limit the number of volume they have for their muscle ups, but expand on the wall balls and row? But what I'm curious to see now is like we've had some time to digest this and kind of what we're doing. Now let's look at our two athletes. All right, we have Annie versus Pat, and I would say two obviously very super fit individuals, but we might see two different plans. And Brent, I'll start with you. You just having a bit more intimate knowledge on Pat's skill set and his abilities. How do you see that faring maybe with an athlete like Annie?
Well, I hope they both do very well. I think right now my money's probably on Pat to take this. Typically, Pat was a better rower in the marathon row, and his 30 muscle-ups for time was faster than Annie's, right? Wall ball cycle rate, men and women, sometimes women can go a little bit faster. The target is lower. But I think Pat's squat speed is probably just a little faster than Annie. So I think their time per second, or reps per second, sorry, on a wall ball is going to be very similar. So if you're looking at wall balls, let's say they're the same, and then you're just looking at rowing and muscle-ups, Pat has the advantage. But if Pat goes a little too aggressive and says, I'm going to do 20 muscle-ups, this, and then he starts failing something that he wasn't expecting to fail, and then he has to quickly make a change and switch to a new piece of equipment. And if all those transitions start to slow him down, where maybe Annie has like a very strategic, I'm going to do 10, 20, 30, 5 rounds and be done with it, she could overtake him.
And so also I'll say that it's like, obviously, Pat's just going to have the advantage on the row. Right. Just for a power output standpoint. However, it's like, in the ring muscle advantage, when you say you're going to direct Annie on maybe how to approach this with her skill set.
Yeah.
How would you approach that?
Just in knowing Annie and how meticulous she is with her training. And, I think that by this time she knows exactly what rep scheme she's going to have. And I think that the key is you can't miss a rep. And I really like what Brent said in the beginning was, hey, we got to get rid of the muscle ups as soon as we can, because you want to lessen that transition time. So what I think is you're going to have a big set that's important for everybody. Go fresh, and then almost it's a 2-part game plan where you have your muscle up wall ball row workout, and then when the muscle ups fall off, now you have your row wall ball workout. And I think that's what I think what we're going to see, and that's going to be really important for Annie, because that might be a little longer, where Pat might be able to get that done a little quicker. I think we might be able to see that that happen with Annie there.
All right, so we're talking about two very elite athletes.
Yep.
Now let's say, the Open's for everyone and everyone's doing the Open. And if you're going to look at it, say just for your average athlete, they've got muscle-ups, wall balls, and rowing. They're not proficient at any which one in particular. Is, what piece of advice would you guys give that athlete just trying to navigate this the best way with a limited skill set?
Good luck. No, I would say I need to see. I'm assuming there's a time cap. We haven't seen that yet. We have to see the official scorecard for that.
20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, there it is. 20-minute time cap. So for a lot of athletes, what you're going to be looking at is just chipping away at the wall balls and row, right? So you're going to be chipping away at those. You could do 8 calories on the row and 12 wall balls for 10 rounds, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's a pretty good workout. That's very 18-1-esque. And then when you're done, chalk up.
Got to get that first
muscle up, right? And you might get time capped at 20 minutes at that point. But if you do think you can get that muscle up, you got to give yourself a good minute or two to give it a crack at the beginning of the workout. And then once that's elapsed, you got to get back to work.
So Austin saying that's those that are trying to or have a very limited set of muscle ups. Yeah. How about me, for example? An older, more casual fitnesser these days. In terms of, they have muscle ups, maybe not a lot. 3 to 5 is the most they could do in a set.
Yeah.
How would they approach this workout?
Yeah, I think that you open up bigger than you'd like because you're fresh and go for it. And then from there, you kind of recover a little bit on the wall ball and row. And I think this is one, certainly if you're in that boat, you want to maybe redo it, but knowing where, okay, I got to the 20 minutes, I should have gotten more cals and wall balls sooner, something like that.
Not a lot of people are repeating this throughout the Open. I feel like this is one that definitely has the ability to, because there's so many different options now. I love this so much because, you know, it is a little chaotic. This is classic Dave Castro. I mean, this is a very hard workout just in total volume of what the movements we have together. But to put it in a way that you can organize it any which way you want, I thoroughly enjoy this. And it's going to be one you're going to do once and maybe realize that probably wasn't the best idea.
Right. I think what will start to happen is, I know for me, I have a group of people I text. I got my trash talk group of boys. I got a few friends in Australia.
What is the penalty? The penalty this week.
Penalty this week is a belly flop.
Okay.
So you got to do a belly flop in
Fitting.
an epic way into a large body of water. So
The Boston Harbor might work.
yeah, it could work.
Be a
but
belly flop and
you have to,
some form of disease.
you got to have some confidence that it's never going to be you. So yeah, I think that there's the possibility that the first attempt you just kind of screw up. You might overshoot or undershoot, and then you might learn something a lot. Learn from your friends. Yeah.
Well, I think we're about to get a lesson ourselves. I just got word that Annie and Pat are ready to go. So for 20.5, the final event of the 2020 CrossFit Games Open season is about to be underway. Connor, take it away.
Boston, are you guys ready to see this? Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair. 10 seconds on the clock. Boston, let's help close these guys out by giving them a countdown in 5, 3, 2, 1, go!
20.5 is open and ready for fitness
They have 40 of these to
as we tackle the final event of the 2020 CrossFit Games Open. A choose-your-own-adventure 40 ring muscle-ups, 80 cals on the row, and 120 wall ball shots. Both athletes starting off with ring muscle-ups.
So as we kind of expect, Pat Vellner's cycle rate is a little faster here. Pat did the 30 ring muscle-ups 4 times at the CrossFit Games in 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Those are on some long straps. Now you can see here, Pat's losing his rhythm just a little bit there, but he's still going to keep going. I don't think he's going to break. And he's broken at 11. Pat, 12. Okay. So maybe what Pat's going to do here is you can see he's probably going to use his triceps a little more on the wall balls, right? And then he's going to use his pull on the row. He's got strong lats, so he's going to use up the pull on the row, refresh on the row after these wall balls, and then get into, you know, another big set of ring muscle-ups.
We are just a minute into this event. You can look at the top left part of your screen. That is your rep counter. Vellner moving to the wall balls. Annie is going to the row after her first set of ring muscle-ups. The total number of reps to achieve in this event is 240 for both athletes. And we said earlier, this is a choose-your-own-adventure style. Annie and Pat both started on the rings. Annie moving to the row, Pat to the wall ball shot, and he has yet to put that ball down.
Yeah, he's moving a lot, and something you're going to notice here is that obviously reps are ticking away a lot faster for Pat than Annie, who's on the rower. But you know, the strategies are in stark contrast to one another right now. We see Annie getting back on the rings, almost making a little bit of a couplet for herself, and you know, it's going to be interesting because, like we alluded to, the triceps on the wall ball and the muscle up, your lockout might actually get fatigued. So, well, the first thing I noticed, you know, Annie's super smart. She's going a pull and a pull, but she's not worried about the push, and that could be maybe the hardest part of the muscle up for her.
When you think about when you put wall balls into a movement like, or a workout like this that have muscle ups, is I think people underestimate the taxing part of the wall ball being the tricep.
Yes.
And what's the most difficult thing other than getting on top of the rings is trying to get above them with that ring dip.
Exactly. Now, I've just done a little bit of math here, and I've got a bit of a prediction on absolute kind of best case scenario time. We're looking at about 15 minutes here. So if you're doing 40 ring muscle-ups, let's say you can do them unbroken, which isn't going to happen, but let's say you're going to get 40 ring muscle-ups unbroken. That's going to take you about 2 minutes and 10 seconds for these athletes. Wall balls, you're looking at about 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Let's say 4 minutes, we'll round it up for 120 reps. And then on the row, that's obviously where you're trying to figure out what kind of pace they're going to be holding on the row. If you're holding an aggressive pace, let's say that's 1350 cals per hour, probably a little faster than we can expect from these athletes. That's 14 minutes and 50 seconds. So with transitions, they're going to get fairly close, potentially to 20 minutes. That's some rough calculations, but they're going to be in this for a while.
And here's the thing I find interesting is the complete different strategies we have between Annie Thorisdottir and Patrick Vellner. Annie is back on the rings. It looks like to me she has been doing about 5 or 6 muscle-ups every time she's got to the rings, where Vellner is going back and forth between the rings and the wall ball shots. Neither one is doing that third movement between the two of them.
It goes to show that the transition time is something they've taken into account, and they don't want to be going around in a merry-go-round from one movement to another. But now is that we see the first time that we see Pat getting on that rower, and he's at 89 reps and he's at 52. You know, it's interesting to see at what point in the time, as we're about 4 minutes in, do we start to see a leveling of the playing field?
Now, Brent, I got a question for you, is that if you're looking at Annie's strategy, we talked about how the muscle-ups can be interfered with the wall ball shots. Annie not having a strong skill set on the rings as, say, maybe Vellner does, who is finally on the rower for the first time. Do you kind of think the strategy Annie's going is a couple between her and the row and just saving those wall balls for one big shot at the end? Could you look at her? She is a beast out there. When you give an athlete like Annie Thorisdottir a 14-pound ball and a 9-foot target, 120 wall ball shots isn't really one thing she's really going to be afraid of.
No, I'm sure Annie can do 150 wall balls unbroken or more. Now, I'm quickly going to go back to my earlier prediction. I clicked on the wrong cell on my formula here. We're looking more at about 10 minutes. So sorry, 10 minutes if they were to go unbroken. So
I believed you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So
you say it with
10 minutes if
conviction.
they're going unbroken. So we're probably looking more like 12 to 13 for the top scores. Today, if they could go around 12 minutes, I think that'd be a pretty solid score for their first attempt. But you're right. I know for me, I'm really confident in doing large sets of wall balls unbroken at the end of a workout. So I'm thinking Annie has the same mentality.
Annie's sticking with the 5 reps on the ring so far. We are just past the 5-minute mark. Vellner just finished his first row, back on the rings, moving back to the rower. Now, when you looked at the back and forth, I'm sure he was probably thinking maybe 3 sets of 40 or something close to that on the wall ball shots. But look at the rep discrepancy so far. And I think that's just a product of cows versus wall ball shots, right? One's a little bit faster than the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think this is, as we watch them go, I think that you're noticing that what you said, right, 100%, if Annie hops on that wall ball, she's not putting it down. So she's clearly saying, hey, I got to get through the muscle-ups, and then the row is its active recovery, essentially. And then when she gets on the wall ball, it's time to burn it to the ground.
And this is the most exciting part about this event in particular, because there is so many different ways to do this.
Yeah.
How amazing would it be to see it come down to maybe Vellner struggling through some muscle-ups when he's absolutely gassed, and Annie just charging through those last 120 wall ball shots. We have yet to determine which direction they're going to go, but I actually think Pat may be close, at least half or 75% of his wall balls completed already.
That's right. I mean, I think with Pat, I think this probably going into his potentially last set of ring muscle-ups. I know he started with about, was it 12?
Yeah.
Let's say he went 12, maybe he got 10, 8, 8, something like that. So if he can get so he's got 4 reps left on the muscle-ups. Now this gets interesting. If he fails a rep here, is he going to run back, start, let's say, his row or his wall balls? Ooh. Or is he going to wait under the rings to get that one last rep?
137 reps completed by Pat Vellner. If you subtract the 40 muscle-ups, that's 97 completed between the row and the wall ball. So he does not have to go back to the rings, as we are 7 minutes into a 20-minute AMRAP. Annie Thorisdottir still sticking with her plan to mix between the rower and the rings only.
Yeah, and she's down to some smaller sets on that muscle up now, which I think is, at some point, are we going to see the couplet continue, or is she going to take a break? But you can see she's committed to this strategy: row, wall ball, and it's going to be interesting to see how fast she can now, once she gets done with them, take away those wall ball reps compared to Pat.
That's right. I'm curious to see how many calories Annie has, because pretty quickly she's going to be done on that row, right? And so if she's not done her wall ball or her ring muscle-ups at that point, then she's going to be alternating maybe one more set between ring and wall ball. Probably not something she wants to do. I'm sure her triceps are already pretty fatigued. I think I might have seen that classic Annie Thorisdottir smile there. That might have been her signaling she finished her ring muscle-ups. I could be wrong. It's hard. It's hard to know as a spectator right now who's in the lead, how many reps they have left, and what their finishing time is going to look like.
Vellner on the right, Annie Thorisdottir on her left. You can look at the top left corner of your screen. Total reps completed. Vellner approaching 160. That means he'll have 80 total reps to go, and that'll be between the rower and the wall ball shots because he is done with his ring muscle-ups. So we're past the 8-minute mark. Annie on the left side, 60 reps behind him, but she has done a lot more cows on the row up into this point, and she still has yet to pick up that med ball.
I just heard the announcer on the floor say Vellner with 50 wall balls left. That was about 20 seconds ago. So that's going to, let's say, that's 10 wall balls. So we have 40 wall balls left now. And then I'm thinking he's going to get back to the row. He's got 30 wall balls left and maybe 30 calorie row left. So he's going to burn it out on the rower. Super smart to finish on the row. Yeah. And you can really hammer those cows. From the 30 cows, if Vellner's fresh, he's just going to hammer these and then hold on the wall ball. And like I said, I have the time here, 9:45, if he's going fast. So I'm thinking probably 11 minutes for Vellner.
Super smart to finish on the row, but not super fun to finish on the row.
No.
Yeah, and it looks like, Annie's back on the rings again, and we're 30 calories left we see for Vellner right now. So with 30 calories left, I mean, he can, like you said, really start to burn to the ground and get that done in maybe 90 seconds or so.
Annie there she is. There's that smile.
There we go. She's onto the wall balls
Annie
now.
Thorisauter picks up the med ball for the first time. She's 70 reps behind Vellner as we're closing in on that 10-minute mark.
I think that I'm curious to see what kind of sets now Annie's capable of. She's going to, right now, she's going to be doing the math in her head, maybe even asking her judge, how many calories do I have left on the rower? She knows how many wall balls she has left. She has 120. She's probably chipped away maybe 10 to 15 at the time we've been talking.
She was done at about, I think it was 120 with the total reps. So if we're talking about 40, so she's, I mean, by that math, she's actually done with the row.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, so is this the final 120 reps that Annie has?
Almost Karen to finish out the workout, which is 150
Shorter
wall
Karen
balls.
and less reps when you're talking about one of the fittest women, fittest athletes in general in the world with Annie Thorisauter.
I mean, we're closing in on the final 30 reps for Pat here right now.
That's right. Yeah.
So I mean, I think he might be done on that rower. If not, he might just have a few cows left. But I mean, Annie just broke the wall ball.
Yeah, super impressive time here by Pat. I'd be curious to know what he held on the rower. I'm guessing that over 1250 cows per hour, probably more like 1350, but depending on the time of the workout. I mean, he looks great right now, and Annie looks really good. I think she dropped the wall balls at once.
Yeah.
Right.
And we're closing in on the final 10 reps here.
Total reps to complete is 240, and it looks like Vellner is trying to close out his last set of wall balls.
Okay,
so
10
saving 10 cows on the row to finish.
What a beauty. Full send.
That's right.
That's 10 hard pulls. You can tell his legs are extremely tired. He's not bringing his butt all the way.
Not even bending those things.
Just trying to reef on it. Almost sub 11. I think that's going to be a really, really good time, but I know Vellner doesn't like to redo these.
Patrick Vellner, 2 pulls to go. That'll do it. Vellner will take 20.5.
Oh, man.
Right around a time of 11:15.
Man, that
hurts at the end. Yep.
That did not look like it was a lot of fun, and I feel bad for Vellner having to do this with no data to go on. And I mean, he's just going to learn so much by talking to so many other athletes to give this a crack. And I'm sure he's thinking that now. I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. But it was great performance. I mean, 11:15 seems like a really solid time.
Right. And I think right now we have to draw some scope to what we see Annie doing. Where she made those 40 muscle ups look pretty effortless, and I think that it's easy to forget that that's a lot of muscle ups for a lot of the female athletes. So I think where she is at with she's going to storm through these wall balls with minimal breaks. I think it was really smart to lay off of that tricep piece. And I think that's probably was the thinking. And the pull is clearly not her weakness. We know that she can power clean the world. So yeah, it's that finish, and there's some good strategy there.
And I think that strategy specifically to Annie, taller athlete, stronger athlete, larger athlete, not as well versed on the rings as say maybe a shorter one who can dance all the rings all day. So that's where the fun part about this is going to happen, because if you have a female athlete who can just rip through muscle ups, you look at like a Kristen Holt or a Carrie Pierce, right?
Yeah.
Even a Tia Claire too. I mean, let's not forget some of these athletes, but how are they going to break up that a little bit more? It's like, do you save a row towards the end that's a bit more strenuous in terms of speed, or some wall balls with a shorter target?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a difficult thing. I think no matter who you are, if you can do muscle-ups, you got to get most of them done in the beginning and then pair them with a movement or maybe both the movements that feel easier. Annie Thorsdottir closing it out here, about 20 reps left.
Yeah. And the first thing that's coming to mind here as well is just certainly like for your athletes, your affiliates, is just really starting to write down all different types of rep schemes. You know, here's like just models. And I think that can be really helpful. I mean, we've seen two models very different, and I think there's a lot of value there.
Absolutely. Let's cheer on Annie here.
Bringing it home.
7 reps left. Impressive final set after all that work to hold onto that wall ball for what looked like a set of 40.
Yeah.
Annie Thorsdottir closing it out in style in front of a big crowd here at Reebok CrossFit One. 240 is the number to get to, and she's got there right around 13:49. As we close out your top 2 athletes here for 20.5, and just looking at this, very excited, very nervous, and I think we're just so much in the air in terms of what is possible.
Yeah.
It's really hard to gauge exactly right off the bat how this is going to go.
I'm curious to see how Vellner felt about it and what his thoughts are.
Yeah.
So guys, I'm here with Pat Vellner, who made that look easy, relatively speaking.
Thank you.
Pat, you're not one to retest open workouts, but the nature of this workout has so much strategy in it. What are you thinking for the rest of this weekend?
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate because I think if there's a rigid structure, you make a plan, you follow the instructions, and you do it as best you can, and there's not much else left to chance. But something like this, where you can do it 100 different ways, it means like there's a lot of thinking to do, and having 5 minutes to do it isn't that sweet. But I don't know. I still don't know if I want to do it again. I need to execute a little better on the wall balls. I probably got like 6 no reps. And then, I'd probably pick some lower rings so I'm not swinging around so much. And the row, I would say, is much harder than you think it's going to be. I think you look at it as kind of like, you hop on, you'll pull some strokes, get a little bit of your heart rate down, but it's great in theory, not so good in practice.
Well, you made the row look difficult, so if it's more difficult than it looks, then we're all in trouble.
So Annie, firstly, congratulations. It was such a privilege to watch you. I think everyone here would have to say you are awesome. Given the workout is so strategy-based, I'll ask you a similar question. Were you happy with your strategy? Do you think you'll change it up again? Or do you never, ever want to see another wall ball?
Oh, I actually love wall balls. My plan was to do the muscle ups, like that's going to be my weak point in this workout, but trying to tell myself I'm good at it. Thank you. So yeah, my strategy was to do sets on the muscle ups where I wouldn't go to failure, but like typical sets, and then recover on the row. Since row is definitely one of my strengths, wall ball is definitely one of my strengths, so I was gonna row around like 1050 to 1150 on the row. I did go a little slower. I was around just above the 1,000, and then towards the end, it didn't make sense when I was almost done with my calories, and I'm like, well, I don't want to get yet to the muscle ups, so I slowed it down a little bit there. My plan was to go unbroken on the wall balls, or maybe put it into 2 sets. That did not happen. I was really surprised when I got there. Yeah. Like, it wasn't my triceps, it wasn't my legs, but my traps, like, they were just done getting the ball up and, like, holding my arms here. So if I do it again, I'm going to practice a strategy where I relax my arms. I usually don't have to do that when I do wall balls. Redo, I would go definitely shorter strap. Like, it's hard for me to control when it's a very long strap. But I'm happy with this. Now, for the competitors out there, like, this is one way to do it. I might change it up a little bit, but I do think that if muscle ups is the thing that you have to work on, then use the other elements to kind of recover and then get to the muscle ups again. If you don't have muscle ups, get the row and the wall balls done, and then you hopefully have plenty of time to play with the rings.
Well done again, Annie. It was absolutely awesome. Well done, Pat.
Guys, one more time, give it up for our athletes for 20.5. Pat Vellner and Annie Thorsdottir.
Oh, sorry. Before we go,
I was determined to beat Pat in this workout. So when we got 40 muscle ups, I was hoping you said 14. But yeah, buddy, you got this one.
I'm determined to beat Pat in this workout as well. I don't know if I'm going to be even as close as you were on that one. But, guys, that's it for the athletes competing on the floor. If you're going to join us later.
Thank you, guys. You have been an awesome audience. Really have.
If you're going to join us afterwards, we'll be heading to Rosa Lions in Southie. Now we're going to transfer it back over to the desk. Over to you guys.
Well, what a treat we just had. Annie, Pat, what a performance for both athletes. A lot of different ways we're going to do this. I mean, we can say this all evening long, but let's just go to your first initial reactions. Brent, I'll start with you. Let's say, walk us through maybe kind of what your strategy would be. But now, let me take it back. Who's losing this challenge between your trash talk crew?
If I had to make a bet, I would say either Travis Williams because he comes out too fast,
Yeah.
or maybe Lucas Esslinger, and I hope not myself, just because we're bigger athletes, and I think the wall balls do play a pretty important factor there. But then maybe Jason Carroll too. I honestly don't know.
Honestly,
I don't know.
at first blush, when I was thinking about your trash talk crew, I was like, I feel like Travis was looking at the workout. I was like, I can do all that unbroken
Yeah, exactly.
in order.
Exactly.
I like that strategy.
Yeah, so Austin, let's talk about your strategy looking at that.
Oh gosh, the first thing I think about is, all right, you got to get the muscle ups done, like almost like really big, like a big set, and then from there, probably chip away at some wall balls. Where for me, the row does take a lot out of me, and I got to focus on that. So if I probably do like a wall ball muscle up piece there, and then kind of fall into two movements that do not like the rowing and the wall ball together, that reminiscent of that treacherous workout, in 2018. But and I almost get more excited about how we can implement this at the gyms, because I think you can have some really cool wins. Get some first muscle ups, some M attempts. I get really excited about that.
That's the time. Time to
Yeah,
get your first muscle up.
exactly.
Brent, your approach to this for yourself coming into that.
Yeah, I think.
You don't get any secrets away.
Yeah, I know, right? I think one thing that if you have the option for this, obviously set up your pieces of equipment close together. So if you want to have these tight transitions, that's potentially an option. And you have your judge there. Make sure your judge is only worrying about your reps, making sure that they're legit, guiding you through that. If you can have an extra person there who's kind of watching the judge's sheet, giving you a number, and they can just tell you, you've done this many of this many of that, this many of this. And maybe I go into it with a plan A and a plan B. So I tell that extra person, they got to be on the ball. They got to be on the ball because I'm going to be tired. But they have to be on the ball telling me, once they can see that plan A isn't going to work, they're going to start, riffing and saying, Brent, it's clear you're not doing these large sets of muscle ups. Therefore, like you said, you need to do this, and these how many sets you can break it up to, or maybe like this was the calorie row pace you wanted to hold. So there's like a bunch of different options there.
So you're throwing out movement judge and just total rep count judge in each category.
Kind of coach. There'll be like a coach kind of yelling you information, helping you along with sort of your plan A, plan B. But then the judge shouldn't be doing any of that. The judge needs to just be watching, hip crease target, and so on.
All right.
Yeah, I really like that. It's because I almost think on the other end of the spectrum as well. Like, sometimes you get in a rhythm on muscle ups and you want to keep moving. So the open is a unique time for me where I rely on someone counting my reps, because you're so focused on the task. There's very little room for error. So having someone count your reps specifically here, it's like, you might instead, I'm going to go for a set of 5, but you go for 7 because you feel good.
Yep.
And I think that is something that, because that might cut down one transition. Because if you pull this across, you might, I have to get on the rower one last time or get on the rings one last time. That's a huge amount of time.
4 to 8 seconds.
Right. And it sounds insignificant without context, but 4 to 8 seconds could be like 100 spots depending on where you fall on the leaderboard. So I think that's a great point. And, but just make sure that we read the scorecard, the rules and all that. We don't want to get into an awkward scenario where someone's touching your equipment that shouldn't be, or things like that. Just be mindful of, direct your team appropriately, like we talked about a little earlier.
I'm really excited about this event. I think it's a great final event. Watching Annie and Pat go, being in front of all these people, I think we're going to have about 240 different strategies out there going into this final event. But that will do it for us here at Reebok CrossFit One. I want to say thanks to Reebok, Filthy 150, the Open's coming to a close soon. They'll be the first sanctioned event of the new 2020 game season. I want to say thank you to Connor, Dorina, Tal Short for joining us. Brent, Austin, thank you very much. I'm Chase Ingram. 20.5 is open and ready for fitness.